please?
Oh my God, I was just in a wreck.
Okay, where are you at?
Reserve in Spurgeon.
Okay, is anybody injured?
Yes, there's a couple.
Okay, what kind of
Oh my
injury?
gosh. There's somebody on the hood. They weren't wearing their seatbelts. Oh my gosh, I was just trying to send a text my
Is
mom.
there another vehicle involved?
Yes, there's 2 vehicles.
Okay.
I was just trying to text my mom.
Okay, is your friend breathing?
I don't know. I can't tell.
How many other people do you have in the car?
There's 3 others.
3 others that do
3 others in the car.
Are they talking to you?
There's some screaming.
Okay, do you know how many people are in the other car?
I have no clue. No
Okay.
idea.
And what is your name?
Drew.
Okay, and your last name, Drew?
Smith.
Can you spell it for me?
Which one?
Both of them, please.
Drew, D-R-E-W.
Uh-huh.
Smith, S-M-I-T-H.
Okay, and do you know your phone number?
It is 555-1212.
Is that area code Montana 406?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Do you remember your home address?
I don't.
Okay.
Can't think of it right now.
Check on your friend to see if he's breathing. Can we try to help him?
Yes, we can. Except for I'm stuck in the car. I can't get out.
You're stuck in the car. Okay.
No.
Oh, I have help
Trying to
headed to
text
you.
my mom.
Okay. All right. Can you see the people in the other cars, Drew?
Yes, I can.
Okay. And do you see how many people or what's going on over there?
They look like they're stuck in their car as well.
Okay. All right, Drew. I have.
Oh, I know. I don't know.
Okay. Where were you headed? Which lane do you think you're in?
I was headed north.
Okay. All right. I have help headed to you. Okay. So I'm going to put you on hold and I'll be right back to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Injury accident at Reserve in Spurgeon, 110-121-131. Medic 1, respond for an injury accident at Reserve in Spurgeon for a 2-vehicle accident with unknown injuries. Possibly have people trapped in both vehicles. 110-121-131. Medic 1, respond for an injury accident at Reserve in Spurgeon for a 2-vehicle accident with unknown injuries. Possibly have people trapped in both vehicles in the northbound lanes. Your traffic is going to be on Fire Channel 2, Cambridge Strength 6 clear at 11:54.
These 2 cars have just been involved in a high-speed head-on collision on Reserve Street. Student number 1, who is driving car number 1, is named Drew Smith. He and his passenger Haley are both from Big Sky High School. Ty and Garrett both are from Sentinel, and Sydney is from Hellgate. The students had been at the regional basketball tournament and are on their way home. They were excited about the tournament. Everyone was laughing. The music was blaring, and they were having a great time. While driving, Drew decides to text his mom and let her know he was taking everyone home and he would be home shortly. In a split second, due to his distraction, he crossed the center line and crashed head-on into vehicle number 2. Drew was the only one who remembered to put his seatbelt on in his car. He remains conscious and remembers the whole event. He is screaming to his friends who are not responding. Haley is a female who is in the front seat passenger of car number 1. Unfortunately, she forgot to put her seatbelt on with all the excitement that was going on. Upon impact, her body was thrown forward through the front windshield. She hasn't responded to her friend's screams, and it appears that she is unconscious. Ty is a male who is the middle passenger in the back seat, who is also not wearing his seatbelt. He has slammed into Garrett, who is the left window passenger in the back seat. Ty and Garrett are now both crumpled together, with Ty lying on top of Garrett, who is screaming at Ty to get off of him because he cannot breathe. Sydney is also not wearing a seatbelt, and she has hit her head on the roof of the vehicle. She is yelling out, "Help me! My back hurts, and I cannot move my legs." Car number 2 just left a swim team banquet. The mom is driving, and her daughter, Sarah, she just received her swimming awards, and she earned her first letter. They are on their way to get ice cream to celebrate. Immediately after the accident, Mom is conscious and at first appears only to be dazed and confused. With the excitement of the banquet and the awards that her daughter had received, she forgot to put her seatbelt on and her daughter was ejected out of the front windshield and is on the ground unresponsive. The daughter has obvious severe head trauma and lacerations to her face and is lying in a pool of her own blood. She has an obvious deformity of her lower leg, and she is not responding at all. She appears to be dead. Keep in mind that in some cases, emergency personnel must drive several miles, and the first person to the scene may not arrive for 10 to 15 minutes. During the response, emergency personnel may be slowed by motorists who fail to yield to them and may also have to deal with onlookers blocking the roadway around the crash scene. That may not be a long time, but if you are the victim, it is. To the victim's advantage, an officer happens to be in the proximity of the crash. He is the first to arrive on the scene and emergently tries to evaluate the condition of all the victims. Police are first responders and have emergency medical training. They attend to Sarah first, who is lying on the ground outside of car number 2. However, she appears to be dead. Her injuries are too severe. Therefore, there will be no immediate effort to treat her or remove her body from the wreck. A sheet is placed over the body. All effort will be made toward saving lives. EMS personnel will begin administering medical attention to the severely injured. Haley is lying on the hood of vehicle number 1 and appears to have severe head injury. EMS evaluates her and decide that she must be flown because of her injuries. Then the emergency personnel proceed to check on Ty and Garrett to determine that they are trapped inside the vehicle, with Ty still remaining unconscious, laying on top of Garrett. The paramedics are in need of the EMS rescue unit as their door must be cut open to safely remove them from the vehicle. Garrett is in a great amount of pain, and he is screaming that he still cannot breathe and that his ribs and his head hurt. All the students need to be removed quickly by rescue unit in order to receive further medical care. While EMS is providing medical assistance to Ty and Garrett, other EMS team members are attending to Sydney, who is still lying on the front seat and in the back, now crying, but unable to move. Because EMTs are unable to remove Ty, Garrett, and Sydney from the vehicle, they are awaiting the arrival of EMS rescue unit for further assistance. The first 60 minutes following a severe injury crash is the most critical time. Ty and Garrett are alive and both now screaming in severe pain. EMTs work to stabilize all victims as much as possible until the EMS rescue unit arrives. Paramedics determine that the daughter of car number 2, Sarah, is dead. Her body will remain in place for hours until the police conclude their accident investigation. While EMS is rendering care, the police officer's primary objective is to protect the crash scene. He must first consider the safety of the victims, rescue workers, and bystanders. He will also gather evidence to be used in court if necessary, as well as try to determine what caused the crash and who is responsible. He will also determine what charges, if any, will be filed against the wrongful driver. The driver of the first car has only minor injuries, mainly because he was wearing his seatbelt. As the officer talks with him, the driver is distraught and screaming, asking for his phone. The officer continues to ask the driver questions and asks him if he had been drinking. The extrication of Ty, Garrett, and Sydney will take additional time, which is necessary and critical to their survival. The tool the rescue personnel are using is a hearse rescue tool, also called the Jaws of Life. The spreaders can apply up to 44,000 pounds of force, and the cutters up to 152,000 pounds of force. This presents a certain amount of danger to the victims and the rescuers, which is why rescuers will place cervical collars on the victims' necks to keep their vertebrae in line. This will prevent paralyzing damage to the spinal cord if their backs are fractured or broken. The victims will also be covered with a blanket to protect them from flying glass and debris, as the Hearst tool is used to cut away parts of the vehicle. Due to the severity of the impact, Sydney's back is twisted and jammed as she was thrown forward. Her pulses are weak, and they are obviously deformities, indicating multiple broken bones, as her legs begin to severely discolor and to swell. The coroner is called to pronounce the daughter dead on scene. The morgue is called, and the hearse arrives, and the coroner assists loading her body into the bag. Shelley was a freshman who maintained high honors in high school while swimming for varsity teams. She placed third at her varsity meet. Shelley was inspired by her younger brother, who was diagnosed with cerebral palsy at birth, and worked as a swim coach for children with disabilities in the summer. She planned to go to college and get a degree in social work to advocate for children with disabilities. April is National Distracted Driving Awareness Month. According to the NHTSA, distracted driving occurs anytime you take your eyes off the road, your hands off the wheel, and your mind off of your primary task. As of April 17, 2017, 33 lives have been lost to date, compared to 50 fatalities for this same time in 2016. 15 were impaired drivers. 15 had improper restraints, no seatbelts. 29 were motorists, 1 a motorcycle, and 3 were pedestrians. Motor vehicle crashes are the leading cause of death among teens in the United States, according to the CDC. Or that every 90 seconds someone is injured in a drunk driving crash, and every 53 minutes someone dies in a drunk driving crash, according to Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Montana Highway Patrol statistics state that driver cell phone usage contributed to 1,614 crashes from the year 2004 to 2013. Montana teens reported that during the past 30 days, 43.8% of them texted and or emailed while driving a car or other vehicle, according to the Youth Risk Behavior Survey. 2015 highway reports stated that there were 224 deaths, 1,000 serious injuries. Vision Zero is 0 deaths and 0 injuries. May 7, 2014, the Montana Department of Transportation Director Mike Tooley announced Vision Zero, a multi-pronged initiative with the ultimate goal of eliminating deaths and injuries on Montana highways. The Montana Department of Transportation reports that in the last 10 years, 2,309 people died in vehicle crashes on Montana roadways, 492 of which were 18 to 25-year-olds, the age group with the highest fatality crash rate. Montana Department of Transportation reports that 85% of those 18 to 25-year-old fatalities in the last 10 years involved in a crash with an impaired driver or occupants who were either not wearing or did not have seatbelts or were wearing them incorrectly.